all of this, there was a monster that I fell in love with. I love that creature. I love Godzilla. I wanted to see more and more. I've always been a monster. So when I see a monster movie, I want to see the monster. And Godzilla was one of those movies where, as a monster lover, you got your ticket's worth. You got your satisfaction of seeing Godzilla enough. But it was not a movie that came in as light of day.
In 1963, Japanese screenwriter Shinichi Zakizawa began writing the script for what would become one of Toho's and the Showa era series' most successful film, Godzilla vs. Mothra. Screenwriter Zakizawa would finish the story by December 31st, 1963. As the film began, several parts of the screenplay would be changed by direction of director Ishiro Honda. In one of the earlier drafts of the screenplay, it was the idea of Zakizawa to have Godzilla be the one to wash ashore, and not Mothra's egg. In the story, one of the characters, Torada, thinking that Godzilla was dead, would put Godzilla on display, and eventually he would awaken to once again cause destruction on the cities of Japan. Realizing this idea would not make sense since Godzilla is a highly radioactive creature and no human would survive getting too close to him, this part of the storyline was changed. Many changes would be made to the original screenplay. In the initial final draft, screenwriter Zakizawa wanted Godzilla to have a bigger role than Mothra in the film, causing major damage to Tokyo, and Mothra would arrive late in the film to try and stop Godzilla in a climatic battle to the end. Another scene in the original before the changes is the fictional land of Rolosika, which is also featured in the original 1961 Mothra film. The Rolosican government was supposed to be the ones to deploy the frontier missiles at Godzilla and not the US government as portrayed in the final production of the international version of the film. Also, Mothra's larva was not supposed to be made at all for the film, and in the final confrontation, Zakizawa wanted to use the imago versions of Godzilla and Mothra. In this film, the name of Mothra's island changes from Beirut to Infant Island, which it would be referred as in future films with Mothra. It is important to note the frontier missile sequence, where Godzilla is being attacked on a beach by American battlecruisers in the film, was only included in the US version, but part of the scene was featured only in the original Japanese trailer. Also, this would be the first Godzilla film without newly shot American footage added for the American release. The scene in which Godzilla is attacked by the American military was not filmed by an American studio for the international version. Instead, the footage was shot by Toho during the original Japanese production, contrary to what some believe. Yet, in another interesting fact, this is the first Showa Godzilla film to be nearly completely intact for the North American release, and few scenes were edited out for the international release. It was not like the first three Godzilla films, which were heavily edited. In September 1964, American International Pictures released the film in theaters around the United States, and it opened in New York City on November 25th of that year, with a strange new title, Godzilla vs. the Thing. Trying to create an uproar of excitement for the film release, Mothra's appearance was kept out of all the promotional posters and other materials. The distributors would hide Mothra's appearance and made it look like Godzilla's opponent would be a hideous tentacle creature and advertised the creature as the Thing. In later video releases in the 1980s, the film was titled simply Godzilla vs. Mothra. However, in the film, Mothra is still repeatedly called the Thing, confusing filmgoers who thought the Thing and Mothra were two different monsters Godzilla would battle in the film. Like in other Godzilla films, accidents would happen at times, and if you pay attention to Godzilla in this film, you will notice his upper lip on the suit has a slight wobble. This was caused by an accident. In a scene, Godzilla smashes into the Nagayo castle, and the actor in the suit, Haruo Nakajima, fell and the suit's head slammed into the castle, which loosened the teeth. Special effects master Eiji Tsurabaya liked it so much he kept the suit with the slight mouth wobble throughout the film. Another first in this film, the claws of Godzilla's hands and feet were made out of FPR, fiber reinforced plastics, for the first time in this film. In one of the scenes, Godzilla's initial assault on Iwa Island, composer Akira Ifukube did not want to use the music for the sequence. However, Ishiro Honda disagreed and would add music during post-production without the composer Ifukube's knowledge. At the premiere, Ifukube saw the sequence with the music and gave Hyundai their look. It is the only recorded disagreement they had ever had in their professional careers working together. Contrary to popular belief, the Godzilla wading in the water heading for Iwo Island, shot from behind, is due to the fact that Haruo Nakajima was actually wearing the suit from King Kong vs. Godzilla from 1962 instead of the Mosi Goji suit. Eiji Tsurabaya had already planned to use the suit from the earlier film for the next 1964 film in the series, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. This is why in the final scene, to minimize the wear and tear on the Mosi suit, it was decided to use the other instead. Godzilla vs. Mothra would be the final Showa-era film in the series where Godzilla is portrayed as a malevolent figure. In later films he would be portrayed as a protector of Earth, and the only time he would cause destruction was when he was controlled by aliens. He would later return in 1984 in the film Godzilla 1985, The Legend is Reborn, and it would be the beginning of the Heisei series, where Godzilla returned to his portrayal as the destructive menace.